in the days, accurate days. I was a cold dude, I'm getting back to my way.
One Friday evening, my roommate and I, Cameron, had some fellas over, and we were gonna audition for Sing Song together. And in the midst of this, Cameron and I we came into a kerfuffle, a bit of a small conflict. It didn't feel small at the time, but it's passed. Amends have been made. We're fine. Thank you for asking. Then I come in. Cameron's playing some video games, and so I walk in and I realize I have to go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom. You'll notice this is a motif in this story. I go to the bathroom and decide to give up Michael, a little ring. Say, hey Michael, what's going on? And he goes, hey Kevin, we're just about to go over to Whataburger. And he doesn't offer me again to go to Whataburger, and he had offered me midday. So I think to myself, well, maybe the offer has expired, so I'm not going to invite myself because I don't want to do that. I have a pretty dominating presence. I don't want to force that on other people. So I say, all right, hey man, yeah, that's cool. All right, let me know if you guys want to watch a movie later or something. And yeah, just get back to me. He's like, all right, cool. And we that was supposed to be him. You hang up and go about our business. I come back to my room and play some League of Legends. Cameron's playing his Madden and stuff, and eventually it starts to wind down. We get to about 11:30 or so, 11:50, and it was more 11:50. We decide to, call it kind of an early night, shut everything down, go on to Betty Bye. And it was about this time that, as I close my eyes, I hear this knocking on the door, and just buh, 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 buh. And then, like, body slamming against it, and then it busts open, and it's about midnight now, and Michael and our whole crew of friends come in. They throw on our lights, which are overhead lights we never use. We have lamps everywhere, and we like to have some more incandescent glow ambient lighting. It's a feng shui choice, and it has not helped my fortune whatsoever. Thank you for asking. They just bust in like, all right, we're gonna watch a movie. I'm like, I was not prepared to go to bed at all. Great, so let's do this. So we pop in Step Brothers, and that calmed me down a little bit because any time is a great time for Step Brothers. If you haven't seen Step Brothers, I would even advise you not to, because from then on, you're going to gauge every other comedy movie off of Step Brothers, which in my opinion is comedic perfection, despite all the vulgarities and the obscenities and all that. I think it's just freaking hilarious. I have more laughs per capita in that movie. You don't need to know about this. That's a minor part of the story. So then after a while, they decide, to get going and let us go to bed, and which is great. It's about 2-ish now, and now I realize, though, that I got to go take another pre-going to bed pee, because I always have to do that. It's always the last thing I do before I go to sleep, except for maybe play a couple rounds of Temple Run. You got me. Oh, because I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night and find that I have lost all the control that I learned whenever I was in, like, kindergarten, and end up peeing myself in the bed. So I go to the bathroom, and our room is right across from the bathroom in our dorm, and I open the door and just, step across the hall. And as soon as I'm directly in front of the door, my friend Russell opens the bathroom door, and he's like, oh, hey, you going to the bathroom? I'm like, I don't know why I would be standing this close to the bathroom door if I weren't intending to go to the bathroom. But yes, I am going to the bathroom. And he's like, dude, you gotta see this. Which I am already stoked to go on this journey with my good friend Russell. Because anytime a guy tells you that you gotta see this in a bathroom, someone has forgotten to flush, and it is a doozy. Usually, I mean, especially if it warrants, like, someone telling you about it. So I'm like, sweet, this is gonna be awesome, okay? Because I think poop's funny. Sorry about it, but that's just my thing. And he's like, you know what? Let me show you. So I'm like, I'm getting escorted to this thing. Sweet. Oh man, I cannot wait to see this. And he steps aside, and I walk into the door, and there's this full-grown man sitting Indian style, like, totally ragdolled in front of the toilet in the second stall, which is the stall I always use. Just totally passed out. It was so much better than the best poopy. And I turned to Russell with this face of like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And he just looks at me like, right? He just sits there, he's like, he's been there for like 2 hours. So ever since Michael and them came into our room to watch Step Brothers, that guy's been passed out in front of this toilet, which is also impressive and pathetic, because that means that this guy, at whatever party he was at, had to tap out at midnight and be like, I mean, that's pretty responsible, but at the same time, like, oh no, I gotta go home. It's too much. I went too ham. I went too ham at this party. My entire peeing experience, I chose the stall right across from him, so that we could get this. I felt this spiritual connection between my urinal and his stall. So this was winterish, right? Okay, it was November. So it was started getting really cold outside, which meant that they turned off the AC inside. But there's not really heating, there's just a lack of AC, and the general man aroma and heat keeps the building warm, which is awful. But to keep our room cool, because we like to keep it pretty chilly in here, especially whenever we go to sleep. So we opened our windows, and but that created this draft like between our room and the rest of the hall. So every time, like if you let the door go, it would just bah, it just slam like a freaking WWE champion. We always left our door unlocked in case I had to do a midnight pee and go take care of business, lest I find myself in the aforementioned puddle. So around the neighborhood of 4 o'clock in the morning, I hear that proverbial slam, and it stirs me from my slumber, and I you know, I'm camping. I got this really fluffy pillow, so I can barely look over it. And I look though, and I'm like, was that real? Because maybe it was part of a dream. But I look over the fringe, and standing there, looming over the entire room, this incredible mountain of a man, just standing. The only light coming from the cracks in the door where the hallway light is coming, and then I've got this little iPod charger with a faint blue light. So he looks like the freaking Kmart blue light special from my nightmares. And he just stands there, right? And 4 o'clock in the morning, Kevin is thinking, you know, there's a big slam, something's going down, because there's always cats screaming outside our window anyway, right? And they're like, yeah, all the time. So it's like living in the middle of a nightmare. And I look at him, and he's just standing. And I'm so dumbfounded at the fact that a human being would just stand there with no point at all, that I realize there's a zombie in our room, right? And he just he gives me no reason to think otherwise. You know, he's not moaning, but at this point in the infection, you know, given that it's a Walking Dead zombie, you know, rather than like a 28 days later zombie, he doesn't need his lungs haven't deteriorated. I realize that aside from being preposterous, that this man felt the connection too. And this was the guy who was passed out in front of the toilet earlier. Now I'm like, well, that's even more baffling. I'm less prepared to deal with an inebriated man than I am to handle a zombie. Just as I'm trying to figure out what to do, he takes some steps, and he walks into the middle of our room, and we've got this couch in the middle of our room, and he gets there, and he pauses again, and there's a lot of elapsed time between all of this, and then he drops his pants, and he's wearing jorts, and I just hear the woof, and he drops them. I'm like, oh no. And every time I tell this story to people in person, their eyes get super wide, because this story just got 100% rapier. And I didn't even think about that. My immediate thought, I guess this is out of the same, you know, misled train of thought as the zombie comment, but like, I was convinced this guy was just about to squat down and drop a deuce right in the middle of our room, which, again, I just find myself in increasingly less prepared situations. Do I go push him over? Do I go push him over and maybe, but that might scare the poop right back out of him. I'm going through all these, you know, scenarios of what I should do, but before I even get a chance to, he drops, and in an incredible feat of coordination, steps right out of his jorts, comes to the side of our couch, and then he just single, oh, and then just planks onto our couch. So I'm like, I gotta figure out what time this is, what the heck is going on around me. So I pick up my phone, I turn it on, and I snap this picture. I'm on top of the world, hey. I'm on top of the world. And now I am fully aware of what exactly I'm trying to handle here. And so, like, I lean over and I do the classic, like, little brother, big brother on a bunk bed, like, leaning over to Cameron, right? And I'm like, hey, Cameron. And I'm like, looking at him, like, hoping I'm not waking him up, because, like, what if he's angry? I'm like, oh, Cameron. And he's not responding. So I'm like, I know what has to be done. I'm like, I'm going to pretend to go to the bathroom. Less because I have to go to the bathroom, and more because I need that door to slam again, hoping that it will wake Cameron up, and so that we can be, as the cast of High School Musical said, all in this together, because I can't handle this on my own. I'm already a stressed out ball of stress. That was a stupid comment. So I open the door, and I just let nature do its thing, and a burn! I'm like, yes, mission accomplished. I was lying to myself all along. I actually have to pee. So I go and take care of business, come back, and I open the door, and maybe more frightening than anything that's happened up to this point, Cameron's desk lamp is now on, and he's sitting, like, upright in his bed with eyes, like, wide as like he'd just seen a ghost. And he's like, what the F is going on? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what, did something happen? in the span of time between whenever I left, like maybe the guy had gotten up and like taken on the form of a pterodactyl and then like flown around the room and knocked some stuff over, and Cameron was like, yeah, and it wasn't the slam door at all that woke him up. But no, it turns out he just found out the slam door worked. It was good thinking, Kevin. And so I'm like, yeah, I have no idea what happened, but there's a drunk guy passed out on our couch. He's like, do we even know him? No, we don't at all. And I don't know what to do. And this guy is snoring ravenously, like it is unreal. I could have just seen this as a ministry opportunity and let him camp for a while, but I could not get to sleep with this snoring. So we decided there's got to be something done about this. Our RA, who lives next to us, was out of town on an ultimate frisbee trip. I don't think they won. Our other one's all the way at the end of the hall, and we didn't really know him that well at the time, so we're like, we really don't want to get Rodney. What about his roommate? And we know where this guy lives. He's got the little dry erase board on the outside of his door that, like, he draws, like, human anatomy. And this week, though, he let us know that that is the home of the Poopsmith, of course, being the classic character from the Homestar Runner cartoons. So I walk in. I go down the hall, and I open the door, and I don't know what his roommate had been doing before this, but I open the door, and the beam of light shoots, and his roommate is, like, straight up crouched on his bed, like, perched up there, like freaking Gollum, right? And so I walk in, and he looks at me, he's like, and I'm like, I'm sorry, and then the door shuts behind me, so now all the light's gone, so I'm in the dark with Smeagol over here. He's like, dude, what's going on? I'm like, hey, your roommate is passed out on our couch. And he's like, what? Yeah, he's snoring like a mug, and we can't have that. So, could you come help us try and wake him up or move him? He's like, right now. And I was like, no, I mean, probably like Tuesday around, I don't know, how does 4 work? But yeah, no, now would be great. And so he's like, all right. So he stands up, does a little like Inception top wobble. He's like, all right, got it. And so we shake him, we try and give him a couple of these. I slap him on the face a couple times, and he does one of those classic, like, and like, I talk to him like, hey man, you're on our couch. I need you to go. He's like, all right, I got it. And then just mid-sentence falls back asleep. Okay, I thought maybe we could take out the cushions of the couch and like do like a fireman carry. No, none of that happened. And his roommate was finally just like, dude, I don't think he's moving. And by now he had stopped snoring. I think just because we wiggled him around too much, which ultimately might have been really bad for like his sinuses and things. But all's well that ends well. I look at Cameron, I'm like, well, I guess we're just gonna do this. And so we go back to bed, and he sleeps like a baby for about 30 minutes. And then I wake up at the sound of him waking up. He did like one of those classic like Christmas afternoon, and your grandpa like passes out on the couch, right? And no one says anything because this might be like Peepaw's last Christmas, and you just want to let him have what he wants, But then something happens. Maybe he has a dream of way back in the war days. He's like, and then stirs awake like really abruptly, and that's exactly what this guy did. And so that gets me up really abruptly, and then he just lays there for a little longer before like getting up slowly, and like he gets to a 90-degree angle, and then he spends like a solid 5 minutes looking around. And I can only imagine what he's thinking, like, man, when did this bathroom get so plush and full of posters? He gathers the courage to kind of push himself up, does another like Inception top, just like his roommate did, and then very deliberately just beelines out the door. And apparently Cameron had been woken up too, because as soon as he makes it out of our door, Cameron grabs the jorts, opens the door, flings him outside, and we lock that puppy, and we go back to bed until like 10 the next morning. And when we opened the door again, the jorts were gone, and we never heard from him again. Until this semester, I have a class with him, and it's very awkward because we both know what happened, but we just don't talk about it. Meanwhile, that's the only good story that I've really had to take back from old Abilene. Usually I just tell people, it's boring and the water sucks, but now I can also tell them that they're dorm invading inebriated mid. So I think score 1 Abilene.